So welcome guys, welcome to another Medieval 2 Total War commentary video from an online battle. And this is the battle I told you I'm gonna show you. The battle against the same opponent that I faced in my Hungary against the Holy Roman Empire game. When he asked me for a rematch, I told him, okay, just please make it quick because I don't have time. The guy seemed polite until that moment, so it seemed like a reasonable thing to do. Now, because I didn't want I didn't want to experiment a lot in this battle. I just wanted to deal with it quickly. I chose a very familiar setup for me. I chose Russia with a familiar army that I'm used to controlling. And as you can see, my opponent chose the Byzantine Empire. He chose to go heavy on the cav. He had 6 units of cataphracts, which are good cav and good solid backbone infantry, Varangians, Latincon, and good Byzantine Guard archers. Now, the army I use on a regular basis. Actually, it's actually the first army that I won a battle with. It was my 3rd online battle, and I chose the Russians, and they won me the battle with a very similar army to this. Of course, I worked on that army and I modified it, and I came up with this. I haven't lost around 10 battles that I played with this Russian army setup. Basically, I'm taking with me 4 Tsars Guard that intercepted those cataphracts right there that tried to charge my line. I'm taking 1 General's Bodyguard, 4 Berdiche Axemen, which are great damage dealers, 3 Dismounted Boyar sons, and 4 Cossack Musketeers and 4 Dismounted Dvor. Now, Dismounted Dvor are very flexible. I always put them on. I always disable skirmish mode with them. I tell them to hold their ground, because they can hold their ground and they can help the Dismounted Boyar sons and the Dismounted and the Berdiche Axemen to win the melee fight. Now you can see the battle developing. I just flanked his center. He's winning on the right, where his cataphracts are outnumbering my Tsars Guard, but I brought along 1 Dismounted Boyar Sons unit to help out over there, and I'm shooting at him constantly with my Cossack Musketeers and my Dismounted Dvor. The thing with this army is I always make the opponent come to me. I don't really have to move a lot. And when the opponent has to move, he usually makes mistakes. Like, for example, here again, like in the last battle, he left his heavy cav on 1 wing be just spectators in the battle. He didn't move them, even though he lost the battle big time. He was losing actually the battle big time in the middle. You can see how many units are routing from his how many infantry units are routing from his middle. Actually, his whole middle is routing at the moment. So the thing with this kind of a Russian army is that all I need to do with my melee component of the army, with my Tsars Guards, my Berdiche Axemen and Dismounted Boyar sons, is to neutralize his melee part, his melee troops. From then on, it's a piece of a cake. I mean, it's a walk in the park, because the Russian missile units are probably the best in the game. The only army I can think of that can field a similar, the only country that I can think of that can field a similar army is the Turks. They can also go with Janissary Musketeers and Ottoman Infantry, which can give you headaches if you would go head on against them with this kind of a Russian army. As you can see, I haven't decided the battle yet, but at this point too, I was relatively relatively sure that I'm going to win. Anyway, there goes his general, and the Berdiche Axemen took care of him. Those really cool looking guys with the 2-handed axe, big axe. And as you can see, at the constant fire I'm exposing his guys to is making them rout. And the best thing was my Cossacks were actually at full strength. They didn't take any casualties. I think they only took 2 or 3 casualties per unit, something like that. And my dismounted Dvor were well not at full strength, but a very respectable force. So yeah, I wasn't worried about the battle. Actually, I wasn't worried at all. Now the reason why I bring only 4 units of Tsars Guard instead of 5, and actually I bring 5 units of heavy cav total, counting the general unit too, is that the Tsars Guard is very elite. I mean, their stats are amazing. The only thing they lack is a charge value, and B, they are very expensive. So that coupled with the expenses of the Cossack Musketeers, who are extremely expensive. I mean, they are, I think, 1,000 florins each. Equals that I have to make some compromise in this army, and actually those are compromises that I'm gonna gladly make, because the Tsars Guard is not used like the medieval, like the Western Knights, who are generally used just to charge enemies down. No, the Tsars Guard are heavy cav killers, so those guys you can use in order to respond to a charge that you are probably going to provoke with this kind of an army. So if an enemy faces you, he's gonna say, well, yeah, he's got the missile superiority, I better close in on him. So when you make him do that move, you always have to count on your Tsars Guard to intercept his cav, his heavy cav charge, and on your Berdiche and the Boyar sons, Berdiche Axemen and Dismounted Boyar sons, to intercept his infantry, so that your missile units are safe and fire from the background and they will cause most of his units that engage to rout. And also the dismounted Dvor give good support to the other melee units. And now, as you can see, I pretty much dealt with him, and having in mind that I asked the guy for the battle to be short, I did expect at this point for him to admit defeat and just let it go. But no, in the chat now he started whining about why actually not about why, but he just whined about the gunpowder units, my gunpowder units, which were the Cossack Musketeers. And I said, well, it was an all-period battle, there was no rule against it, so, I mean, what's your problem? Didn't respond, and the battle continued. At this point, I pretty much, I don't know, I just grouped everything I had in melee, and I just ordered them to attack one stack of units over there. I think those are Byzantine Guard archers, and as you can see, I was pretty careless, because, I mean, seriously, what could go wrong here? But he didn't give up. He didn't admit defeat. Unit of cataphracts, as you can see, came back from routing, and he managed to rout that last bunch of survivors from my melee units. What he did was try to charge. What he then did is try to charge my line with his cataphracts. As you can see, he failed miserably. I mean, come on, I have my Cossack Musketeers at full strength. That's the whole point of this army. I mean, even if the opponent tries to charge you at full strength with his heavy cav, first you weaken them under with heavy bombardment from your gunpowder units and from your archer units, and then you intercept. I mean, no big deal. It's a piece of a cake. I love this Russian army, actually. I really love it. Of course, it has its weaknesses, but I think, well, actually, any army is as good as the general is. I mean, I think that's a general rule you can apply. You see some dismounted Latincon, and I think those are the dismounted Byzantine Lancers managed to get to my line, but they're only gonna last until the first volley of shots from the Cossack Musketeers you see in the background arrives, because gunpowder units not only cause actual damage, they also cause morale damage, so they're gonna make your opponents rout faster. You see first volley, there go I think the Latincon, and second volley there go the dismounted Byzantine Lancers. Now the only thing he's left with is, I think, a unit of Trebizond Archers. You see what the percentage of enemies killed, and my guys killed this, and the only thing he's got left is this unit of Trebizond Archers. He still doesn't admit defeat. I mean, it really bugs me, and now I'm gonna fast forward and skip a good 5 minutes of the battle where I just chase him on the map. Just pinch me next time I wanna be nice and give someone a chance for a rematch when I don't actually have the time for it. Well, anyway, he obviously wanted just to piss me off at this point, and he just wanted me to admit defeat or something, or leave the game unresolved or something. But I was resolved to get him. As you can see, I did cut 5 minutes from the vid. I knew only thing I needed to do is just take one volley, direct one volley of shots at that unit of Trebizond Archers that just run away half across the map. And there goes the shot from my Cossack Musketeers. There they go, finally routed all of them. And I mean, seriously, this wasn't that much of a great battle. The guy just pissed me off. That's why I'm showing it. Now we're gonna see. I killed or captured 1,300. He 1,000 of my men. And as you can see, it's a relatively balanced out number of kills per unit for me. So thanks guys for watching. Promise you I'm gonna bring you a better video next time. Bye.